So how can we create a content calendar? Daniel?
So let's start by defining what a content calendar is. It's somewhere where you're going in, you're planning out all of your content for the forthcoming period. We will plan ours a year ahead. But it also is making sure you maximize the impact of all of that content. So it's a kind of planning document, but it's also something to make sure you're leveraging that stuff properly.
So to break it down, what does it actually consist of?
Okay. So there are loads of content calendars out there. You can download this one. If you go through and search Target Internet Content Calendar, go to targetinternet.com, go to our resources, you'll find it. But first of all, you've got the overarching topic. So what is the topic you're going to cover? You've done your research and you've worked out that topic. You're then going to go through and to say which of our target audience is bits of our target audience is this servicing, is this useful for? So we've got personas. We break our audience into personas, and maybe we've got 4, and we say this particular piece of content is for 1, 2, and 3. This piece of content is for 2 and 3. This is for 1. And then you suddenly go, oh, we're missing persona 4. So that's going to help you identify that. You then do your keyword research and you say, okay, we're talking about this topic, but how do people actually search for it? What's the phrasing that they actually use for this? Because if you get that wrong, you'll create something that could be great. They're not going to find it. And it's just not going to be discoverable in the first place.
Give it searchability.
That's it. That's it. Because otherwise you'll have something that just languishes, whereas this is going to really help it. Then have we tweeted, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, the channels you're going to use.
Google My Business.
Yeah, you put it on and the Google kind of business stuff. There's loads of places you can put this, and making sure that you've gone through and ticked that off. And you might actually talk about one piece of content multiple times in the same channel. You might write 5 tweets off or something like that as well. Then email. This gets missed a lot. Have we got a particular email list or email newsletter this is going to go out in? We're going to signpost this content as well. Then again, really often missed in content calendars, who are the influencers that have got access to our audience or the audience we want that might be interested in this? We're going to pre-identify them and we're going to go off and we're going to try and get it in front of those people. And then advocates, which is always missed, which is who are the people that always say nice stuff about us internally and externally? Encourage them to share this as we go through as well. So that's the kind of key steps. The other thing you can build in is the results for previous stuff that you published. Say how much reach did it get? You can see here how much engagement, likes, reshares, comments, all that kind of stuff as well. So then we can start to work out what's worked and what hasn't worked.
So how do you then use this in practice?
So I think first of all, you've got to fill it in the first place. And Kieran's got some good guidance on that kind of content planning approach to things.
Yeah, we'll put some links in the video notes just to point to some of the content planning processes. But there's a very good process we've got. It takes about an hour. It's a big fun brainstorm. And in an hour, you can come up with 3 to 4 months of the most brilliant content and have a lot of fun doing it. It's very creative, very free-flowing. And we created this process because actually a spreadsheet calendar is not a creative place to drop stuff. Like no sooner does something go into a box and it sort of stays there. So this is very fluid, very, very fluid. We use large A3 sheets of paper and Post-it notes, tons of them. So yeah, if you're a little bit retro, a little bit analog, you're going to love this, but it does work because Post-it notes, unlike spreadsheet cells, you can stack them on top of one another. You can move them around really quickly, very, very fluid. So yeah, check that out and definitely recommend try that process because actually it's a great way of getting ahead. This is one of the biggest problems that we have is that constant demand for content. You are literally, it's painful. And if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah, it is. And then you plan this out, you're putting that content out, and then you need to use it to iterate. So you worked out this stuff worked really well. Let's not just, oh, that's fine. Let's improve that even further. The stuff that didn't work, why didn't it work? Look at our analytics, try and speak to our target audience, and then iterate this approach. It's not always about creating new content. It might be going back to previous content and rebuilding that as well. But you use this as a working document that you go back to, you plan out ahead, and then you iterate, and that should help leverage your content and get more coverage.
And when you do that, be brutal. Be brutally honest with yourself. It's way too easy to just believe that you walk on water and everything you do is brilliant. It's not. Some of it really sucks, right? But when you recognize that, you can go, well, why did it suck? How do we make sure it doesn't suck next time? What can we learn from this? And that whole iterative process makes an enormous difference to the outcomes you're going to get from your content marketing. Now, all too often when people say, yeah, content marketing doesn't work, that's one of the fundamental flaws when you dig into it. It's like, well, that's because your content sucked and you weren't big enough to sort of admit it. Like your ego got in the way. if we're honest. So yeah, be brutal.